In this video, we're going to use Luminar AI to take this plain mobile photograph and turn it into this final image that's ready to shine on social media. Hello, my Skylum friends. My name is Pi. I'm one of the co-founders of Lynn and Jirsa Photography, SLR Lounge Photography Education, as well as Visual Flow Presets. Now today, pop open Luminar AI, go ahead, pause the video, download the exercise file, have it ready to load up. We're going to be taking this mobile photograph and we're going to walk through how I would edit this and prep it for social media. So I'm going to give you some considerations to really make your image shine. Let's go ahead and load the image up. If you haven't already, I'm going to click plus, add image, and there is the image right here. Now, if you'd like to know how this image was shot, you might notice if you guys have checked me out on Instagram or on TikTok at PiJirsa on Instagram or Born Uncreative on TikTok, I do a lot of short form mobile photography tutorials. So if you want to see kind of how I shot this image in dappled light, be sure to check that out. Let's just jump for here or for this video. Let's go straight into editing the image. Okay, so let's start by jumping right into the edit module. And like I have discussed in past videos, I like to work from the biggest changes first, okay? So the biggest change of this image is gonna be starting with kind of replacing the entire sky. So we're gonna go down to the creative panel and we're gonna go to sky, and I'm gonna drop into one of the different sky selections. I like the sunset skies quite a bit. Actually, all the skies are great, but for this image that kind of has I want it to have a kind of warm look and feel like it's close to sunset. So let's flip through a few of these and let's just see which one we like. I love how accurate this masking is. This AI-based mask like figures everything out. It's kind of wild, especially considering how crazy this scene is with all the different trees and things. Okay, I really like this sunset. I like this subtle clouds that it's adding to the image. I think we might need to flip it. So let's do this. Go to orientation. Notice that the brighter side of that sky is on the right side and the darker side is on the left side. But our image has light coming from the left and going to the right. So we need to actually flip the sky. So let's flip the sky and immediately it's much better. Now let's go down to refinement. So we're going to do a couple different things. We can see if we can use this close gaps to kind of fill in some of the gaps down here. Let's see where it's at. And honestly, I feel like at default, it did a pretty darn good job. I don't think there's any details that really need to be fixed. The thing is that we're actually going to brighten up the sky quite a bit, and it's going to help the blend a lot when you do this. So let's go down to scene relighting. I love the changes that have been made in the relighting tool. It looks so much better. It's absolutely awesome. So we're going to go to relight strength, and I'm going to turn up the relight strength to about 70. And what this is doing is it's relighting the existing scene based on the sky that we chose. I'm going to go ahead and raise relight saturation so it kind of feels like we get this kind of warm sunset coming through. And for relight human, we could take this up maybe a little bit, maybe to like +5. I wouldn't go too much. It kind of can dull down the underlying tone. So we're just going to go to +5, and that's good. We don't have any reflection to consider, so let's skip over that. Let's go to sky adjustments. As far as defocus, we don't need to use defocus. Why? Because when you're shooting on a mobile device, the sensor is so tiny that your foreground to background, everything is sharp, right? At least unless we're using like a portrait mode or something. But in this case, we're not, and you can see all the trees and everything in the background is completely sharp. So we're gonna leave the sky sharp as well. I do wanna use this atmospheric haze. Now this is going to, again, blend and brighten the image quite a bit. I'm going to pull it to about 80, and then we're actually going to use this brightening function to brighten everything overall. Okay, so we're going to go to like maybe +35, and I might even increase the warmth just a bit of that sky, and you can see the relighting kind of applies it across the board. Now this is cool because with just sliders, we've taken this image from this and gone to this already, but we're not even close to done. I mean, we are close to done because this is quite easy, but you know what I mean. Let's go back up now. We're going to go to now light, and then we'll touch enhance and everything last. So I'm going to go to light. I don't think I want to do anything to temperature. Actually, I might raise it just a little, and then we're going to tweak HSL independently. I want to get into HSL and kind of show you some of the nuts and bolts of it. Let's bring the highlights up as well. See, I kind of want the highlights to come through a little bit. so that it kind of chisels out her features and makes a little bit more contrast in the highlights. I'm also going to raise the shadow point a bit, and that's good. We don't need to really get into the blacks and whites. I feel like they're already, actually, I spoke too soon. Let's bring up the whites a little bit to kind of kick the highlights just a bit more. And I like that subtle pull in the blacks as well. So let's do that. Okay, now on the curve. I think I've shown you guys this before. We're going to do a subtle matte finish to this. So I'm going to pull down a little bit on the highlights, pull up a little bit on the end of the shadows, just a little, okay? I don't want too much. I just want the deep, dark shadows to kind of be slightly clipped, and I want the brightest highlights to be a little bit clipped as well. So the brightest highlights turn to a bright gray, the darkest shadows turn to kind of a dark gray, and that's good. Now, let's go and make more adjustments. So we're going to go first to structure. We're going to actually boost structure quite a bit. I'm going to take it up to, let's go to about plus 20. If we go up too high, it can kind of reveal too much detail. So I think plus 20 is great. I don't think we want to do any boosting of this. Yeah, I kind of like it the way it is. So let's leave it about right there. Okay, now before I go back to enhance, I'm going to go to color. This time on color, what I'm going to do is desaturate all the colors by about -10. Okay, you can take this however you like, but I'm going to start with kind of -10. If you wanted to as well, you could use vibrance and kind of, it has a little bit more of a subtle, refined approach to desaturating, right? It's going to desaturate, but do it in a little more subtle way. So what we're going to do now, though, is go into the HSL. I'm going to drop into, let's stick with saturation first, okay? And then what we're going to do is actually start tweaking the saturation of certain things. For example, I'd like the sky to be a little bit more saturated. So I'm going to pull up the the blues, the purples a little bit, and that looks nice right there. I want the yellows to be a little bit less saturated. So I'm going to pull the yellows down. I might want a little bit more in the oranges though. The oranges is kind of mostly where our skin tone is lying. So I'm going to go +9 in the oranges, and reds, don't really have many reds in the scene, but what we're basically diving into is this nice complementary color between oranges and blues, right? With a little bit of yellows. What I don't want is for the greens to really be showing through. So I'm actually going to pull the greens down pretty substantially. I'm going to raise a little bit of the yellows, a little bit of the oranges, and I'm starting to get to a place that I really like right here. Now, if we'd like, we can go a step deeper and we can actually go to specific hues, and I can say, okay, for the orange tones, I actually want those to be a little bit more on the red side, right? For the yellow tones, I want those to be a little bit closer to the red side as well. We can kind of start pulling the tones a little bit together if we wanted to have a little bit more of a warm kind of feel to it. Okay, I'm going to leave it on the subtle side. The greens, I'm going to pull these towards the teal side quite a bit because I want that to kind of fit into the sky a little bit more. The cyans, I'm going to again pull those towards the teal side. We're kind of matching those. Blues, I'm going to make them a little bit more purple. Purples, I'm going to bring this up as well. And magentas will leave right there. So we're kind of shifting this color palette a bit. I would highly recommend when we finish, you save this out as a template because it's going to be a beautiful template that you can apply to anything. Now look again at the changes here. Look at how it has this more refined and polished look with the existing color. And if we want to now, we can go back up to vibrance and we can kind of play around here. We can bring vibrance down maybe a little bit, tweak saturation down maybe to -10, and then we can lift vibrance up. And it'll have a nice little tweak where it's kind of adjusting the existing colors based on our HSL, right? So this looks actually pretty solid. We're going to go right about here. Okay, let's zoom in. Everything is looking good. I love the way that that blend has gone with the sky. Everything looks fantastic. Now let's do a bit of refinement. So I'm going to go to enhance. We're going to take up the AI accent a little. So I like to do this last because I want it to kind of apply over the adjustments that I've made. So we're going to bring up the AI accent just a bit. Now we're going to go down to details. Actually, you know what? Let's do this first. Let's go vignette. This is another one of my favorites. Choose the subject. Okay, now the way that I like to do this, dial this all the way in. Size and amount, 100%. Okay. Roundness, we want to take this not square. We want to take it all the way around. Feather, we want all the way up so that we have a subtle transition between where the area is being affected and where it's not. I'm going to even turn up the inner light a bit, okay? So I'm going to turn it up to about right here. Remember, I can adjust exposure down a little bit if I want to. So what I'll do is I'll actually tweak exposure first. Don't worry, we're not going to leave the vignette there. I'm just going to reduce exposure a little bit. Okay, so that way her skin tone is kind of the right brightness. So right about here, okay? Now let's go back to that vignette. And what we're going to do is actually dial it back. So we're going to take this amount and we're going to go back to where it's just like a subtle dropping in of tone, okay? Now look at this effect. Look how cool this looks before and after. Isn't that crazy how it just pulls us right into the face? So what we've done is darkened everything around the outside, brightened everything on the inside, and that's where like we pulled down the exposure just a bit. I might even bring it down a tiny bit more so that the face is a little bit there, right there. Okay, so it has this beautiful look and effect to it. I absolutely love this. Now let's hit details. This is going to be a big one for social media purposes, so I want to actually zoom in now. For small details, what we're going to do is actually reduce. And what you're going to see happen is the skin tones are actually softening up. Isn't that kind of crazy? See, if we raise small details, and this is a big mistake people often make, if I'm doing a grungy kind of street portrait, and I think we did one of these, we actually raise small detail because I want those fine details to be enhanced. But for an image like this, I can use small detail to intelligently kind of soften up skin, basically. Okay, now we don't want to go too far. If you go too far, skin's going to look like plastic. So what I'm going to do is go to about -20. Medium details, you can kind of lift and lower to kind of see what's going on with that. And same thing with large details, right? So what we're going to do is take medium details up to about 15 and large details up to about 10 to 15. And then we get this beautiful sharpening effect. And we can actually take medium, small details down a little bit more. So we're getting a smoothing effect while retaining sharpness. Okay, so I'm going to bring up medium, and we're just going to keep balancing this until we get to the perfect kind of look and effect. And it's about right here, where we get this beautiful bit of, like it looks tack sharp, and yet we have kind of also smooth skin, right? So now, let's see if there's anything else that we'd like to do. One thing that I would like to do is I might hit the, let's see, let's check out the drama side. And I might actually add just a little bit of extra drama. Okay. I don't want any, I don't think, the mystical has these nice little sort of glow type effects. I like them, but I like them on a little bit more on the subtle side. So if you take it up too high, I find this is way too much, right? So I'll usually use a little bit of the mystical, and this is kind of like it's sort of an overlay that's softening and doing several different things, adding contrast, adding a bit of blur. But I generally like the look a lot. Same thing with the glow. If you're going to use the glow, use a very subtle amount. A little goes a long way when it comes to this. For this image, I don't think we're going to use any glow or Orton effects or anything. I like the way that it is now. But look at this. Look at this before versus the after. This image is ready for its social media debut, and it's going to look absolutely fantastic. I love the way that this edit turned out. All right, so that's it for this video. Now I want to summarize some of the things that we did here to make this look like it's not just a basic iPhone photograph. So one of the things that we did, number one, was obviously we added in the sky, right? Adding in the sky does a big, right off the bat, does a lot. But the other thing that we did was we warmed it up quite a bit. See, the original image, any image to capture off a phone, it's going to tend to be a little bit too blue, a little bit too cold. So we're warming up those tones. We also gave it a distinct color. We color graded the image so that it kind of fit into these warm and cool tones. So we have these yellows, oranges, and blues, and we kind of desaturated the other tones to give it a uniform look. Then we pulled in that vignette. We did a little bit of work on the detail side. That detail side is really important to making sure your images come out crisp on social media without being too sharp and without kind of being on the opposite side where it's not sharp enough, right? So again, make sure that you're utilizing those functions. Oh, and this is the funny thing. I actually forgot the sharpen itself. So actually, let's apply the sharpen now. And so here, we're going to bring this up. So remember, small details we can kind of control, right? We can kind of pull those down quite a bit, and then we can use our sharpen slider. That's funny. Totally forgot to actually bring the sharpening into it. Okay. That looks freaking fantastic. I love that. If we want to mask out anything too, keep in mind that you can actually add a mask and erase out of any areas that you don't want to affect. But if you tweak the details nicely with kind of what you want affected, then you shouldn't need to do that. You can just increase sharpening to an amount that you like. All right, folks, this is our final before and after. I'm actually going to take these images and publish them when this video goes live. So it'll be fun to see what everyone thinks about our mobile photograph turned into a legit photograph. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, I'd love for you guys to subscribe to the Skylum channel. That way you guys are notified when new videos are uploaded, new techniques and everything. Also, be sure to comment below the video, give it a thumbs up, comment below, let me know what you guys think. I do my best to actually read and reply to those comments, and it gives me ideas for future videos as well. Hope you all enjoyed. If you guys would like to follow me, you can follow me at PyJirsa on Instagram. That's kind of my hub for everything that I do. And that's it. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.